everybody, and welcome to the first in a four-part series, Thriving During Abrupt and Imposed Change, presented by your IAMT and Sandler Training. How many of you wish you had more time for strategic thinking? We are all too busy, aren't we? So we're providing the time and the space for you now to do that with an expert, Shelly Starks. And she's going to walk you through this process, and I know that you will benefit from her wisdom and her expertise. Shelly is an amazing trainer, and when I first saw her speak for one of my women's groups, I just really connected with her and knew that I wanted to do something with her in the future. She's an associate partner at R.C. Howard and Associates, and an affiliate of Sandler Training, and she brings 20 years of sales and marketing experience, along with 5 years of training and coaching experience to the firm. Shelly is a highly motivated professional working with individuals in personal business growth, as well as companies to develop a customized, sustainable, repeatable system and management practices. She's an enthusiastic trainer, speaker, and consultant in the areas of sales and customer service and interpersonal communication. So please join me in welcoming Shelly Starks.
Yay! Very much. No, I appreciate it. It's nice to meet everyone. That was a lovely introduction, Kristen. I did meet Kristen at a women's event in Lakeland, and we had a room of, I don't know, Kristen, about how many people do you think were in that room? Maybe?
It was probably 80.
Probably 80, yeah. And so one of the things that typically when we're setting up this type of training, even though it's on Zoom, the more interactive we are, the more we get out of it, the more we benefit from it. So I encourage everyone, we can utilize the chat room, we can utilize the breakout rooms. Kristen and I will probably do those more as we get a little bit like into the second and third one. But for this one, I would encourage you to have input here. Everybody learns and all boats rise in the harbor whenever we can learn from each other and best practices. So what's the overall title here for our series? It's that thriving during abrupt and imposed change. Do we think that that might be a good fit right now?
Couldn't have stated it better.
Yeah. So the first part in this series is Kristen and I talked about using a question. How are you pivoting? How are you pivoting during abrupt and imposed change? So we're going to dive into a couple things, but maybe we have a few housekeeping things that we'll do real quick just because Zoom calls require them so we can make sure everything runs smoothly. But first thing I want to say is thank you to IAMT for having me as part of this and co-marketing, co-branding with them so that we can do a special invitation to each one of you to help you grow your business. So there's going to be some things that I'm learning as we go through this process about your business, some things that you'll learn from me, and then we'll learn stuff together. For the ground rules for housekeeping, the first thing is your audio. I think we're pretty good on these Zoom calls. Anybody been Zoom called to death recently? Does it feel like you're getting all the Zoom calls in? So
you're breaking up a little bit, Shelly. Just a little bit of breakup there.
Okay.
FYI.
Is that better?
I think so.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I might have put my seminar series flyer over the top of my speaker, so that probably is what happened. So the audio piece, so you can keep yourself muted until you are ready to speak, so we don't have background noise. If you are on and don't have your webcam on, we would love to see your face and see you interact with you. So please turn that on for us. There, it's at the very bottom of your screen. Participants. So if you want to see that, you can go into the participant tab there at the bottom and see who's all included or who actually put some chats into the chat room. But I would encourage you to put your comments into the chat room. And Kristen, if you can help me monitor that.
Sure.
So when someone puts something in there, we can make sure we address it or bring it up. All right. So there's your beautiful executive director that is here as a co-host with me today. And as she mentioned, I am an associate partner with Sandler Training. Okay. So you asked a minute ago about the titles for the upcoming webinar series. Here is the 4-part plan that we put, Kristen and I worked together to put something together for you. So the first one is today. How are you pivoting? The second one is July 10th. So managing our business, developing a sales plan. Anybody could use an additional way of doing their sales plan? Anybody out there?
Oh, yeah.
The third one is suspect, prospect, and qualified opportunity. Some of that may be familiar terms to you, and some of it might be a little bit unfamiliar, but we'll go into it. And then July 26th, we'll round it out with getting our value acknowledged and asking for referrals. So anybody have any opposition to these 4 topics, or something maybe that's not listed here that you would prefer to see?
Speak now or forever hold your
Or
peace.
chat in the room, or are we good? I use thumbs up in these things because it's a little easier. Everybody can see the thumb up. All right. So one of the things that I would encourage you to do is have a hot list. So we're going to talk each time that we come back to the class, we're going to actually talk about some of the things you wrote down that stood out to you, and some of the things you're implementing or trying, or what's working and what's not working. So write some of those nuggets. When I say to you, this is a hot list item, write that one down, because that means we're probably going to come back and talk about it again. And it just helps to be able to go back and reference your notes. But maybe as a jumping off point, Kristen, I think what would be really good, we're going to do an exercise right out the gate, and as opposed to jumping right into content, because I believe that it's important for us to understand what's going on in the current business environment. So I have a couple of questions here for everybody. One of them, it's really a gap analysis. So if you'll take out a piece of paper and write out some of this and hang on to it so that we can go back and look at it. Does everybody have a paper and pen, or do you need a minute to grab it? Good.
I'm ready.
All right. So the gap analysis exercise is figuring the gap between where we are and where we need to be in business. The first question is, what is your current plan in the current business environment? So write down what your plan is. How are you managing your business? How are you developing your business? It doesn't have to be a lot, but just give us maybe a little bit of a plan that you've got here.
And Shelly, you just kind of break up intermittently. We can still hear you, but it's a little bit. We might want to go ahead and try those headphones and just see if it helps. Okay. It's not a bad break. Is everybody else hearing that little intermittent? Yeah. She's got some nice headphones.
Well, let me try the iPod.
You sound great now, but then it'll start breaking up.
We pre-planned this, but sometimes technology doesn't cooperate. But while we're getting this ready, if you will write down, just list it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The second one is, how do you plan now? And I gave an example there. Do you begin planning around your objectives, or do you get right into actions? Let me get the login here.
She is.
What's that?
Lula knows me, and she knows I drink green tea. So she's like, is that green tea in there? Uh-huh.
Getting there. Oh, it hung up on me.
Nice.
Not wanting to use it.
One thing you guys might benefit from hearing while she's working on that technology is that I didn't just talk to her about doing a business thing. We had lots of talks about what thermographers need, what we do, how we do it, the different kinds of thermographers out there, like mobile or people that have a practice, say like Christine, and people who are non-medical, and all the different kinds of thermographers there are out there, what our unique business needs are. So we didn't just throw this together. We really took into consideration who we are, what we do, what we stand for. And I know that she factored that in to her plan here to inspire us, educate us, motivate us. And I really appreciate all the time that you took with me, Shelly, getting to know the IAMT.
You're so welcome. I think I've got some more people that I need
to admit into the room.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, good. Shares.
Does that work?
It sounds good. Yes. So far.
Sounds like it's echoing a little bit.
Echo.
Test. How's that? Better?
Yes.
Yes, there we go. All right, so it looks like we had Shar and Red join the meeting. We have them.
That's Share. Yep. I'm not sure who
Oh,
Red
it's Share.
is. I'm not sure who Red is. We'll find out.
All right. If that sounds better, we'll just do this. Does everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So let's get how do we do with the first three questions? What's your current plan and the current business environment? Does anybody have any feedback that you can share in the chat room?
Well, I'll share that.
Sorry, Shelly.
Go ahead, Francine.
I'm not sure what you assigned us to do. Was it that we should write down what we're doing right now?
Yes. What's your current plan? The current thing that you are doing in the current business environment.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I just wrote that down. Okay. Good.
So I would want some more information about planning around objectives. That's interesting to me, as opposed to get right into actions.
Okay. So how do you plan now for your prospecting, for your daily activities? Like what's the actual plan that you work from today? There's typically a purpose. So the purpose is to go out and build my territory and develop my territory. And then the objectives are the behaviors that I'm looking to do in order for me to get to an end result. So the top goal is I want to sell X amount of dollars for the next 30 days or the next quarter or for the next year. What is that, the top number? And then what are the activities that help me get into that so that I'm doing, or the behaviors, excuse me, that I'm doing in order to get to that? So for instance, do we just go out and say, I'm just going to take it, I'm going to go off the cuff and I'm just going to go out and see who I meet? Or is there actually a list of behaviors that we're using to do that? Does that help?
Carol Laney is sharing in the comments that she's working with a local newspaper to write articles. Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And all right. And what are those articles? Is there a call to action, or is there something in it that's going to get them to reach out to you? Where's that going to come back to bringing in business for you?
I'm just giving my information at the end of every article as far as who I am, my office is.
Okay.
I'm doing this for free. They're not charging me to sell myself. So I'm carefully giving them that lead, but not blatantly saying, only because I don't want to lose the opportunity to write. You know?
Okay. And what are, oh, go ahead.
No, I was done.
What are some of the things or the topics that you're writing about?
The importance of looking for information, especially during this COVID time. Just wellness articles, because I am an FDM practitioner as well. The importance of sleep, people who are experiencing anxiety with what's going on, and then luring them to my office just by ending with all of my information.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Carol. That gives us a little insight as to what you're doing there. Does anybody else have any other input on that one?
Do you want us to share what we're doing in our businesses, Shelly?
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you're doing to build your business, to increase your client or customer base? What are some of the actual things that the behaviors you're doing out there?
Oh, okay. We have a website. We have weekly newsletters. We are active on social media like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and we are daily there. And then we have an extra Facebook group, such a hidden group, you know, where we do detox plans and all those things.
Okay.
But especially the, yeah, I think the newsletters are very important. And the magazine, of course, because we share that to all of our customers.
All right.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Shelly,
Anybody else have? Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing a series of videos with some of my interpreting doctors and my referring doctors in my thermography business, because I couldn't go to their offices because I couldn't, be with my clients. I started interviewing them on Zoom and on specific topics like, one of them was how can we, practice anti-inflammation through supplementation. One was about diet. And one of them that I did got over 1,000 views. So it was just me kind of keeping my face out there to my clients and making sure that they knew that I was, that I was still there for them, that I was trying to pump out information.
That's great. That's a good one. And it's really transitioning into what it looks like today, as opposed to what it was 4 months ago, right? That's thinking outside the box, getting yourself to a point where you're viewing how you're going to change the face of your business, being that we're dealing with the current situation. So how do we do that and still continue to grow? All right. So what has worked historically what are some things before things changed? What has worked historically? Did you knock on doors? Did you make so many phone calls a day? Did you send out flyers? Did you go to conferences and give out your card and meet people? What were some of the things that historically worked for you in the past?
We have word of mouth here from Lula, and that is a big one for us. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Big.
That's your number one, Lula?
Yeah.
The number one? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody send out packets? Carol?
I give out goodie bags. So I find that, that I throw a dry brush in there and a lot of other information. So I also find that when I go around to spas and chiropractors, if I gather their information, I encourage them to put it in my goodie bag, but only if they'll put my information in their office.
Okay. Nice. So do you have like a little display, or is something where they can take cards in their office?
As far as leaving them my information?
Well, like if you leave something in the doctor's office for people to see, do they have like your cards to be able to pick up? Is that what you're referring to?
I do, or a brochure.
Or a brochure. Okay. All right. So what's not working now in terms of things you were doing, but because of the current environment, what is some things that are not working?
showing up at big events and networking face to face.
Okay. Yep. Absolutely. What else?
Everybody got the chat? Start typing.
I find that people are just afraid to come out right now.
Okay. Yep.
Well, usually we have a list of people we call in a certain month, people who need to have their follow-up appointment. And in this COVID time, it was very difficult to tell them that we were still working, because we didn't stop during the COVID time. We kept on working. But a lot of clients were afraid, and so they didn't want to come. So we lost 50% of our business in this time.
Okay.
But what worked very well was webinars and yeah, those things. Sorry?
So were the webinars something that you were able to just kind of pull them in so that you could plan something a little bit later to do the actual imaging, or what were the webinars about?
Oh, the webinars were for specific therapists. Therapists about inflammation, or other therapists about muscles,
Okay.
skeleton. And so
yeah, educating. Okay.
Educating, yeah. Also
Sorry.
about breast health, educating, or Zoom meeting about the bra, or Zoom meeting about whatever, you know.
Can you
Very
let Howard
specific.
Vicks in,
Okay.
Shelly?
Yeah. Thank you. And Monique is also in there. Monique Wonders. There we go. Sorry, Francine, go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh, I thought the what really worked were the Zoom meetings, because we have done webinars for years on GoToMeeting, but now on Zoom it was so much nicer, because we could actually see who was on the call and they had the chance to introduce themselves, and so they were very nice. And after that, because we could have really an interaction with those on the call, we were able to send them a welcome package with our magazine and some leaflets and, you know, those things. So that was very nice.
Okay. But that number that you said, somebody might have their computer and their phone on. I don't know if we've got two people, might have to mute. So Francine, you said your business is down 60%, 60?
Yeah. Between 50 and 75% in the COVID period.
Okay.
We're getting back now, but yeah.
Is everybody else experiencing the same percentages? Similar? Yeah.
Kristen
Okay.
says
All right.
she's down 75% here in the chat.
Okay. Those are significant numbers. So when we're walking through this exercise, one of the things that we're going to talk about, you may have seen the promotional video, is we're talking about the things that are actually under our control. So the two things that we have, I mean, how many of you have felt like it's a little bit out of control? Anybody? Yeah. It is, there's so much going on and it changes every day. It seems like the numbers, you know, we start to flatten out and then all of a sudden we have even more happening. And so businesses are shifting and changing. And I saw somebody in the chat mention that their clinic actually closed their space. And so, you know, that's going to prevent a different type of challenge. Now, I think that was Lula. Lula, are you still imaging? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Unmute, Lula.
Okay. Yeah, I'm imaging elsewhere when I can. So.
Okay.
But not, yeah.
All right. So one of the things that I've noticed in doing a lot of different webinars and Zoom calls and working with companies, the companies that are current clients, the people that I've met through doing some things at our chamber, is that people were feeling so overwhelmed, and they were feeling like they just had no control. They couldn't, I mean, maybe, yes, maybe we have a false sense of control on a regular basis. How much do we really control? But there are things that make us feel like that. And so we started developing a webinar series to talk about the two things that are under our control. And what those are is our attitude and our behavior. So we're going to dive into this a little bit, and we'll do some more exercises like that. I know sometimes it's a little bit clunky when we're first learning how to do the Zoom interactive stuff, but I encourage you to keep using the chat room and put some stuff in there so we can keep this moving along. One of the key quotes that I like to use in a lot of my trainings is, everything you want is just on the other side of fear. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't do it. It just means you might not do it to the fullest extent. Maybe you will only, you'll start it and it ends up being too much, and then you'll back off of it before you get results. But the two things that we can actually work on going forward is our attitude and our behavior. So our behavior, our attitude is that element of possibility, or that element of it not being possible. So is it an attitude of limitation, or is it an attitude of possibility? The behavior piece is how we act and react to the things that are going on around us. So to avoid getting, reacting and getting into just activities and not really producing results, we have to have a plan. We have to figure out what our objectives are. We have to have specific actions for managing those priorities so that we achieve the absolute best outcome for what we are working towards as a goal for the business, for your clients, for your customers. Does anybody have any feedback about this slide in particular? Do you generally agree with it, or is it something that you think, no, this is still not something I'm in control of?
Love this slide.
Thank you, Kristen. Any other feedback there?
I know you guys know how to type. Absolutely agree, says Red/Barbara.
Thanks, Red/Barbara. All right. So when I talk about the attitude piece, this is what I typically I go to. It's when you look at something, when you look at this picture, when you see this glass, what is the typical thing that you'd say? What comes to mind when you're describing someone's attitude and you see this picture?
Is the glass half empty, or is it half full?
Right. And so that can also sometimes be looked at as being positive or being a negative person, or having positive attitude or negative attitude. So the negative attitude is the one I'm talking about, of limitation. That means that you're saying things like, this is so much going on right now. I can't go out and work. This is not going to be, I'm not going to be able to create the other ways for me to be able to produce income, or to produce, find new clients. But as we heard on the couple slides before, we're talking about what are some of the things that we're doing now. Did you hear some things that were maybe a little bit more out of the box? Did any of that stand out?
We've got a comment from Red. I think each of us have to do an attitude check each day. Is it spurring me forward or creating stagnancy in life and in business? So that everyday attitude check.
Barbara.
Idea.
Howard, is that you?
Yeah, I'm driving, by the way, so that's why I was on mute.
That's okay. What were you just saying, Howard?
I was going to say I agree with the everyday attitude check. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm listening to Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N, and Earl Schoaf, who are two very, very well-known motivational speakers. And that's helping to keep my attitude. That and daily prayer.
And what was that second part? That and what?
Daily prayer. and being in the
Oh,
Word.
daily prayer.
You're here.
Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate that.
I like your positive attitude of outlook of possibility. So I'm always sitting there brainstorming possibilities. And so today my brainstorm was the great breast clearing event of 2020. And so right now, maybe a lot of us can't image, but can we start a breast clearing event? Absolutely. We could all contact our past clients. We could say, would you like to participate in the great breast clearing event of 2020? We want to clear, the IAMT wants to clear 500 or 5,000 breasts by the time we can all get back together again. And here's what we've got. We've got a kit for you to participate. It's a brush, breast cream, deodorant, and instructions for lymph massage. It's going to cost this much money. Y'all are going to make a little money on that. You're going to keep up with your clients and how they're doing with their breast clearing. And then they're going to get $10 off or whatever their breast or their women's health study at the end when we can all get back together again. And you're going to show them how when they participated in the great breast clearing event of 2020, how their breasts look now that they have participated. And it might just be a way of engaging your clients, getting in touch with them, even if they don't jump on. So that was me this morning with the glass half full brainstorming.
I like it. I like it. Out of the box. I think that's great. What were some of the other comments that were coming in here?
Okay, let's see. Gratitude. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I have this picture on my desk I cannot overlook, which says, feel the fear and do it anyway. That's from Monique. By the way,
nice,
Monique's nickname is the Queen of Zoom.
Oh, so how are we doing, Monique? Are we a C or a D level today? How are we doing?
She is an amazing, well, actually not Zoom as in what we're on today, but zooming in. Everybody, all thermographers know this. Zoom in, zoom out. Right? Zoom closer, zoom farther. And during training, she was nicknamed the Queen of Zoom.
I love it. I love it. All right, well, let's keep trucking along here. Oh, Carol, did you have something?
Yeah, I want to share something about just the way we started our day this morning, because my husband is also a thermographer, and we were just brainstorming some ideas. And I said, why don't we do a point system? You know, and if you get 5,000 points, you get a free breast thermogram. And, 500 points is if you refer somebody who comes in for a breast study. 200 points is if you send or tag us in a Facebook with one of your images that we took. He said, that's great. You just got to act on it. So that's our next step, is how we're going to act on it.
Very good. I mean, just having a plan so that you're figuring out, what am I going to do now to motivate the person to continue doing business with me, to give me referrals, or to find new business, right? Like whatever we can do in those three buckets to create. And I think when we have this outlook of possibility, to Kristen's point, our brain has a different path, our neural pathway of the things that we're thinking. We're coming up with ways to create outside the box. Does everybody agree? Yeah. Yep. Anybody have any other things that they want to share before we move on?
Well, I think it's very important to take really good care of yourself.
It's a good point, Francine. It's one of the things, especially at least, in the women in my life, in my family, we tend to be career and mom, or career and family. And so sometimes we end up being the back burner person. And what a great piece of advice to be able to keep that forward, because if you don't feel good, it's probably going to be hard for you to have an outlook of possibility. So it's a good point. Yeah. So this next slide talks about the belief drives our attitude. So this is why we're building on this attitude and behavior piece. So your belief about something drives your attitude. Your attitude determines the willingness to do new selling behaviors or new behaviors in your life so that you can achieve improved results. So we can see that it all starts with this belief, and it starts with our attitude. What are the things that we are doing to make sure we check? I love the do an attitude check every day. We've got to check our attitude. How many of you have ever started out your day and you had the best intentions in the world? You thought, I have this, and this I'm going to do today. I'm going to make this many calls. I'm going to make this many contacts. I'm going to have this many, whatever it is. You've got this whole list and you're going to do it. And the first thing out of the gate, you leave your house, you go to the coffee shop and something happens and somebody nicks your car with their door, or something happens to where it throws off your mojo for the day. Anybody had that? Anybody? Yeah. So then what happens in the mentality here is that we start getting wrapped around the negative piece of what happens, right? And then before we know it, doesn't something else happen? Has anybody ever had the snowball effect happen to your day? Where you literally are like, what happened? I had all the best intentions for the day to make sure that I was going to have the best day ever, super productive, and then it ended up that it didn't go that way at all. Anybody?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when we start out with the building blocks of how we get ourselves to a different behavior, because our attitude starts driving our willingness to do behaviors. That attitude could be an outlook of negativity, and what kind of behaviors follow an outlook of negativity?
Negative. Or destructive.
Destructive, it could be creative avoidance from something that you know you have to get done. It could be that you kind of lash out at someone when you typically would not do that because you're just frustrated, but it has nothing to do with them. And so this ends up being a snowball effect. And that's why we start with the belief and our attitude piece so that we can achieve actual improved results. How many of you are on the call today because you want to get better results in your business?
I am.
So in order to do that, we have to start at the beginning. We have to start with our belief and we have to check our attitude. Who actually said check the attitude? Was that Barbara?
I think it was. Yeah.
So Barbara, we're gonna our attitude. That's going to be a call to action when we're doing things throughout this training. Everybody on board with that?
Sure.
Yeah? All right. So let's keep running through some of this stuff here because I know it's one of those things where the time gets away from you. But the full aspect of this is something that we talk about in Sandler. So that piece is something that's important. But then we move into, so would someone possibly read this slide for me and do it line by line and slowly? Can I get a volunteer?
Not me.
I would, but I'm driving.
Harold, I know. Yeah, and please be very safe while you're driving.
Where's Cher?
I can do with an accent, with an Italian accent.
Okay,
Do it.
Donatella.
Okay, so replace word try with do. Attitude drives willingness to do new behaviors. New behaviors to achieve improved results. Improved results lead to new beliefs. New beliefs, practice again and again, create habit.
Thank you, Donatella. So replace the word try with do. I'll give you an example here. So when you ask somebody to do something and they go away and they don't end up doing it, and they come back to you and they say something like, well, I told you I'd try to do it. Anybody had that happen? As opposed to, I said I would do it. So they basically said, I'd try. But what happens in their psychology whenever the psychosis of that, when they tell you they're going to try? What actually happens?
No commitment.
No commitment. Harold, what were you saying?
I was going to say they've already it's already defeated.
They've given themselves. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say when they say, "Well, I'll try it," there's already a mindset of that it's defeatist already.
Or they're giving themselves an out. So that means that they're not committed. I think somebody mentioned they are not committed. So if you're not committing to something and you're not actually fully committing, if you've only got one leg in and you've got one leg out, how productive can you be in walking?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get yourself from point A to point B if one foot is in one bucket and another foot's in another bucket and there's a great divide in the middle? Won't work very well. So we have to be full on committed. We're committed, both feet are in the bucket. We're committed to whatever the behavior is that we're going to do. And we're going to make sure that we're going to do that behavior consistently, because this slide says when we do the behaviors and we see new improved results, those new improved results turn into our new beliefs. When you start believing something different, practiced again and again becomes a habit. What happens when something becomes a habit? Is it easy or hard to do?
It's easy.
It's easier.
It's easier to do it if we commit to it and it becomes a habit. And then if you're getting improved results, if you keep doing that behavior, it builds on it over and over and over again, for that habit becomes that new belief. Now your new belief becomes a little bigger. Your attitude of possibility gets bigger. That whole thing of having the fear and being just on the other side of everything that you want. Fear is you're just on the other side of everything you want in your life. Fear is what holds us back for a lot of different reasons. But when you start getting getting results and your beliefs change, then it doesn't matter, and your scope changes and your vision gets much bigger. Now, someone posted something in the chat room. Let's see what they said. Trying is not doing. Try to push a chair, it will never move because you're trying and you're not pushing it. I love that analogy. I love the visual. Thank you, Monique. Absolutely. And someone says you're right. Did we miss anything?
Lula said there's no energy or movement in the word try.
There's no energy or movement. I like that. Let's put that down, because we're gonna reference some of these, and I'm gonna send everybody this PowerPoint exactly the way you see it, even with the things that I write on it. So the more interactive we get, the more we get things on it, we'll have it to be able to go back and take a look at.
And also, it's interesting when you say the word try, Red says they leave room for excuses. So the word try opens up a big space for excuses.
That's right. Yeah, and sometimes I think we play these games with ourselves. At least I do sometimes, where I say, well, I start making excuses for myself. I start saying, well, I got really busy. I ended up having this happen, as opposed to being super, super structured. And one of the things we do in Sandler to be structured is, just like baking a cake, there are ingredients that go into the cake to actually get the end result. And so in Sandler, we use what's called a cookbook. And I'm going to walk everybody through this as we get through this series of what that cookbook should be built. And we're going to build it together, because everybody that's in your shoes and doing what you do on a daily basis, you need to have the input there and what would work and what would not work. Agreed? And so we're going to work through a cookbook to be able to do that. And we're going to have an end result of whatever that goal is. And you don't have to share it with everybody, but whatever that goal is. And then it has to be fluid. Have you ever made a cake and you maybe didn't have every ingredient, or made some kind of dish and you just improvised or put something in or left something out? Has that ever happened? Yeah. How did it turn out? Did it turn out the way you wanted it to?
No.
No. So our business is no different. We have to put the right ingredients in so that we get the end result, the end dish, the end result of what we want in our business. Does everybody agree with that? Fundamentally? Okay. All right, so let's keep moving here. So we talked a little bit about in the infomercial that Kristen and I did, we talked about the Sandler success triangle. So the behaviors are actions that you take. Your attitude is the mindset that is required to do those actions successfully. And this BAT triangle in Sandler puts another thing in there, and the three part of this is the techniques. The techniques are the skills and the tools required to do your job. So it's not how we feel that determines how we act. It's how we act that determines how we feel. And I'm going to stop here for a minute because I think that's one that needs to sink in. What's some feedback that you have so far about some of this mindset of what we're talking about today?
I think we think about a lot about how we feel, and how we feel is not so very important, and we give it far too much credit, I think.
Oh.
So sometimes people say, I will do it when I feel this or that. And they wait to feel very happy or whatever before they do something.
Okay. Hey, Jim, I appreciate the
Sure.
opportunity to spend this much time with you. Thank you.
Oh, it looks like somebody might not be on mute. So, okay, yep, that's perfect, Francine. Thank you for sharing that. That's exactly right. Anybody else have any feedback there?
It just feels good to be together. I mean, just to connect, because we all are so far away from each other and we don't get a chance to connect like this. And so just the overall impression that I'm getting right now is, hey, we're all together. Many of us are in the same boat, and we all care about each other and we all want to share.
Yeah. And that was one of the big things that Kristen and I talked about. It's not so much about me. I mean, I'm going to bring some technique. I'm going to help you develop some behaviors. We're going to move towards, something that's actionable. But the important part is that we realize that everybody got hit with the same tsunami at the exact same time. No one saw this coming. No one knew what the end result is. First of all, my business partner, Rob Howard, he always says when he facilitates, coaching calls or training, here's the deal. Nobody knew that we could shut off our economy. Nobody knew that that could happen. It never has happened in the history of our lifetimes and even our grandparents' lifetimes. But we're probably even less successful in knowing how to restart an economy when we didn't even know it could stop to begin with. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And so everyone is in that same boat. Everyone is, he uses an analogy where he's like, we got hit with a tsunami and everybody's just trying to find their stuff at the beach. Like they're just running around dazed and confused. Like, what is going on? This is just bizarre. So we have to figure out how to get a plan. The thing is that there will be people that find a plan and move forward and create a business out of necessity. It's almost like that diamond scenario. When you have pressure on a rock or a certain type of I don't know the exact words, but with that material that ends up turning it into a diamond, it comes from pressure. And so the composite piece the pressure comes in and then the diamond forms. And so having that as maybe something in the back of our minds, we're getting that pressure. We could crumble, we could fall apart, our sediment could come all to pieces, or we could turn it into a diamond. Does that analogy resonate with everyone?
Powerful.
A little bit. So that's what we're here to do. This is what Kristen and I talked about, her coming to me and talking to me, knowing there's some tools and some things, and I wanted to bring this to the group. I had talked about doing this absolutely free for these 4 webinars. I think it's important to empower people with tools and with learning new behaviors so that you can actually start thinking. That attitude can start changing to an attitude of possibility. The more people that have this attitude of possibility, to Lula's point, the more energy that gets pushed into this economy, the more energy that gets pushed into the human race so that we recover quicker. And we don't want to stay down. What matters? Does it matter how many times you fall down, or what really matters?
How many times you get up?
How many times you get up. So we got to get some kind of behavior, some kind of technique around it, some kind of behavior in order to get ourselves out of the mud. Everybody agree? Yeah? All right. So let's see, how are we doing on time? Okay. We're going to do this exercise the very next class, and it's called head trash. Anybody heard this term, head trash?
Nope.
Not until I met you, but when we talked about it, I was like, oh, everybody needs to hear this.
So even though we didn't get through quite as many slides today as I'd like, this is going to be a cliffhanger for you, all right? The cliffhanger is, number one, we're going to work on a cookbook during this series. So you don't want to miss the next 3 because it's going to give you a plan of action for how you're going to grow and develop and build your business. Second of all, for next week, we're going to talk about what we call head trash. And head trash, Kristen, would you read that for me real quick so we can get to the end here and we'll wrap up?
Yes. Head trash. The negative thoughts, feelings, trepidation, and or emotions we have and assumptions we make about them based on our respective experiences and influences. They are our beliefs about things, but our beliefs may not always be based on facts and the truth.
What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Anybody have any head trash?
I'm seeing a theme.
You're seeing a theme? What's that, Harold?
Howard.
Oh, Howard. Sorry, I called him Harold. Howard.
It all starts with the attitude. It's in our head. Starts in our head first.
Yeah, starts in our head first.
Shelly,
That's
what
right.
I'm seeing is it all starts in the head.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's got to start with the things that we're creating in our mind before they become reality in our life, right? And so the head trash piece, everyone has it. And guess what? You're going to continue to have it, but recognizing it and understanding what it is, knowing that it exists. We're going to talk about examples of what that is. But for the next, until we get back to this in 2 weeks, I'd like for you to take an action item and write down some things that you think are related to what you consider head trash in your business. What are some things that you think, like, no one is going to, buy from me right now, or no one's going to, meet with me right now. No one is going to even entertain doing imaging. That's really, really a secondary thing. And any of that stuff that's negative in your head, okay? Come up with a list of 3 to 5 and bring them back so that we can share them with the group. And here's the power in sharing your head trash, is that when you say something, like for instance, it's all about the price. Well, it may not all be about the price, but you might think that, and that might prevent you from having a conversation with a large medical facility because you think they're going to require that they have their pricing is less because they're a larger facility. Okay. Maybe that is that you put that out there and you choose not to go in and talk to that office, but what if they really need your services? What if that becomes the partnership of a lifetime for your business? It's just on the other side of fear. The power is in sharing that in the group so that other people who have a similar head trash feel like, oh, this is normal, and now we just need to address it. Does that make sense to everybody? So sharing that also helps us to connect a little more as a team. We want to connect as a team. The only way you're going to grow your businesses together, grow your businesses right now, is to put your heads together. All the heads need to come, all the ideas that are going to come from this need to be shared so that everybody can utilize that and grow their business. The best way to get the most bang for the buck with this many people, putting this many people together. So that's the action item. Take that and come up with 3 to 5 things of head trash. And by the way, head trash is a hot list item. We'll talk about head trash quite a bit. But before we close this out, because we're right at the end, we're 2 minutes over our time, let's just get some feedback. Does anybody have any questions or comments that you'd like to give us?
Anybody? Bueller?
What was the question? I lost the signal for a minute. What was the question,
Well,
Shelly?
sometimes I say to myself,
Oh, sorry. The question was if you had any questions. Was there anything in particular that you, or any comments, takeaways?
any feedback?
I know Francine had something. Go ahead, Francine.
She looks like she might be frozen. Oh, there she is.
Okay. Well, I have sometimes these little voices that says, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, what are you thinking? Or who do you think you are?" You know, I have those voices, and then I keep talking back to my own voices, saying, "Well, if I listen to you, I will never get there." So, thank you for sharing. I'll keep going anyway. Yeah, little voice mastery.
Sharing that.
You know, I
That's
think
a good point.
you know, we're all looking at, you know, 75% less people. Some people aren't working at all. And you just feel like you've got this big wall in front of you. Like, how can you bust through that? And then all of a sudden, someone like Carol Laney says, I'm writing articles. I'm reaching out. I'm keeping my, you know, my name out there. And all of a sudden, a little bit of that wall that you think is so impenetrable crumbles. And so sharing the ideas here and also getting our heads in the right place to do that, I think is what's going to be the most powerful. And we're going to see that wall that we thought we were running up against start to crumble so that we can get on the other side of that. And quite frankly, we all want to make some money. You know, we all want to see if there's ways that we can reach out and have a financially beneficial program going. So how are we going to do that? And I think that this is really setting the stage for that.
Absolutely. So we're going to just go around the horn real quick on everybody that's in here now. If you could just give me one takeaway from today, one thing. Francine, would you kick us off as the president of our organization?
Well, yeah, always stay positive. And I think hearing all these things, what I take away from it is that I'm already doing a lot of things, and that gives me a very good feeling. You know, sometimes you need a confirmation that you're on the right path. And so, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for this.
Very good. You're very welcome. Miss Kristen, I'm not sure what, Kristen with an E-N. What's one takeaway you had for us?
Well, before she said that, I had actually said stay positive. That is one thing I think that everybody needs to do. And I think we just have to ultimately remember that, you know, like my mother always said, this too shall pass, and we're all going to come out on the other side. It'll all work out in the end.
Thank you, Kristen. Donatella.
Well, I guess motivation is something that I take away from this one. Motivation and affirmation. I was mentioning Movie Minds. There was another webinar that I followed where they spoke about creating like a little PowerPoint with images of where you want to be and what you want to create, as we are creative minds and we create our own future in our mind, and then it becomes reality. So they say put together like a PowerPoint presentation with the most beautiful music you can think of, or you like to listen to, and listen to it every night for 3 minutes, 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be very long, and create like an affirmation to the future for yourself.
I like that. Yeah, an affirmation. It's good. Howard, I know you're on the line in the car.
Yeah.
I won't call you Harold.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. But a couple of observations. One is that, let me just talk to Francine. I think Francine is seeing the success that she has and the success that she is having, as well as we've got a couple of other members that I know of that they're busy, they're working, they're seeing clients, they're doing imaging, and it has to do with their attitude. And you know, you tell that, you talk back to that voice and say, no, I'm not going to listen to you. You're not looking out for my best good, and what you're saying is something that I just reject out of hand. And I will do this. I can do this, and that's where it's going to be, and that's what I'm going to do. And so, hats off to Francine. She's really setting a great example. We love the I love the takeaway of the breast clearing event of 2020. I really like that. Diane and I are you know, kind of you know, going over some things right now. So that's a takeaway. I missed the first half hour or so of the presentation, so I apologize for that. But those are a couple of ideas, a couple of thoughts.
Nice. Thanks for
Howard.
sharing.
Thank you.
We'll take two more. We got two more people that are maybe a few things that are in the chat box, Kristen, and some things that people have said.
We've got eliminate the negative mindset to eliminate the negative behavior and act.
Nice.
Yeah. Get that head
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Gratitude. Carol Conti says gratitude.
Nice.
I think someone is. Yep, go right ahead.
Hi, it's Cher. I came in a little
Hi,
late.
Cher.
Hi. What I took away from everything today was that focus is so important to gather all the different kinds of information that we can share with each other and share in each other's success and duplicate it wherever we are. And the determination that we have to continue to make people aware of what we do and focus on just sharing and caring. That's my sort of strategy that I utilize every day. Sharing is caring. And I appreciate being part of this, and it's just a great exercise, a great mind exercise for all of us to just really focus in on.
Thanks for sharing, Cher. Thank you. Does anybody else want to end out the call here and give us one more piece of feedback? Did we get anything done today? Was it worth the time?
Don't miss
Or,
Can I say something?
oh, Lula. Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, thank you very much, Shelley, for your lovely presentation. I just want to say that through the time of COVID, I think it's really important that everybody had a connection, a soul connection to themselves, and became their authentic selves, because we're only born with two fears: fear of loud noises and fear of falling. All the rest taught from conditioning from our parents. So I think a lot of stuff has come up for people from the past. So having a clearing ourselves would be beneficial, so we can move forward with be authentic in your work, and you know, understand that things happen for a reason sometimes.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that all together. I love the idea of clearing, because we do create most of those fears that are in our lives, or the limitations that we put in our lives. They don't exist. They may not even be the truth. That's what that head trash is talking about. It may not even be the truth. Most of the time it's not. So how are we going to clear that out of our minds and start from a foundation of building a new belief? And it starts with the attitude, but it also starts with creating the behaviors. How do we get the behaviors, even though we don't feel like doing them anyway, so that we get the end result that we're looking for, even though we don't feel like doing it today? So I know we're over our time. I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming on. We will be back on again in 2 weeks, and bring back your 3 to 5 things for your head trash that you're going to share with the group. Kristen, I'll give that back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Shelly. This was really great to connect with everybody, to focus a little bit on who we are, what's going on with our businesses. I love the fact that we're sharing with each other, and I think it was Carol who said we should really have a weekly marketing group where we just kind of exchange ideas and talk and support each other. I love that idea. So did you pass me back the host by any chance, Shelly?
You know, I don't think I did, but here I
The reason
will.
why is because I wanted to show everybody something. Let's see if I can. Wanted to show everybody something. Host has disabled screen sharing. I have got our new logos that I wanted to show you. Yay! And that was a big deal for us. So I wanted to, if Shelly, if you can pass it back to me, I'm not sure.
Looking to see.
Just right next to my name, go to the right and click more under participants. And I have,
All right.
I think I have our logos lined up here to share. You know how that is in Zoom. You're like, I thought I had it lined up. Okay, you are the host now, it says. Okay, so we really wanted a fresher look. We consulted a branding expert. And I will tell you that that branding expert is someone who is very sharp, and she happens to be my daughter. And she works in this kind of platform quite a bit. And this is what we have. Can y'all see that? It's bold, it's simple, it's got the camera lens here with our colors, and it stands up next to other logos. You always have to consider what kind of company your logo is going to keep when it's up there on the sponsorship board or up there with all kinds of other logos. And so here is one, and I will show you the next one. That's our word banner. This is our actual logo right here. And then we have, this is like the logo. The other one was called the word banner because it had the words on it. And then the next one is, I think this is called our letter mark. So we have three different, depending, like this is like a badge here that could be a Facebook badge or something along those lines. The other one is more for a banner. And so that's what we have. Any feedback on this?
Perfect.
Yeah. Kristen?
Like it? Yes.
Will you be sending those to us so that we can put those on our website?
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. We will be. And
also mention our new name.
Our new name. Yes, our new name is the Institute for the Advancement of Medical Thermography. And we feel a more powerful name, a name that more reflects what we want to do. And of course, many of you who voted for our board saw our mission and vision statements. We also have now a purpose statement. And yes, we will send that all to you because we want you guys to be proud to be part of the IAMT and to be IAMT certified. So, and share that with people, because we're going to start to put ourselves out there as the authority on thermography. And when you're certified by IAMT, that's something special. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and also just to the people who are out here on the call, if I'm not mistaken, Kristen, this training and certification is open to all thermographers, not just IAMT members. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. We put it out all over our social media.
So let's double the numbers for the next one.
Yes. And remember,
I like the way you think.
I want your testimonies. Everybody send me an email. Send me an email testimony. If you want to do a little Zoom, like tiny interview for 30 seconds, we can do that. Or just send me a little pre-recorded message. Whatever you want to do, we'll put it up there.
Yep, and we and also Carol Laney, who I know is on the call, has really come up with some very, very creative things to do. And if I'm not mistaken, Carol is the one that suggested we do a regular, marketing brainstorming session. What's going on? What are you doing? What's working? And we want the board of the IAMT wants our members to know and understand that we really want to make this thing work. We want to make the IAMT and your membership in the IAMT have value, and we want to be a resource, and we want to work together, and each of the members has a strength, many strengths, and again, together, we're going to be able to help each other build and grow our businesses and build and grow medical thermography as a legitimate tool in medical applications.
Thank you, Shelly. Shelly has to leave. There she goes. She has another thing.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right.
And
Bye-bye.
Howard, that's it. I mean, we're really trying to ramp up here, and I know you guys have seen a few of the things that we've done. Believe me, behind the scenes, we are talking, emailing, texting, having Zoom meetings constantly. So we are
Daily.
for you. We're daily, everything daily. It's crazy. So, but we're really getting a lot done here behind the scenes too, and it'll pop soon. Watch for that new website. It's going to be very, very, very powerful for you. Imagine if you, on the locator tool, could have a little video attached to that. So when someone's looking for a thermographer in your area, that locator tool is going to be big. That's hidden. We need that thing big so that people can find you. And we need to search engine optimize that so that people can find us so that they can find you. And imagine if there was a little video that was attached to your name on the locator tool so they could get to know you before they even call you. Powerful. These are the kind of the things we brainstorm about.
Thank you. We appreciate
And we want feedback of the membership. Please, anybody, we want, value, need your feedback so that we can make the IAMT what you want it to be.
Thank
Yeah. We can even use members for our committees.
Yes. Who wants to be on a
That's for another time.
That's another time, but we thank you.
Yeah,
so
that's
much.
right.
Thanks for being here.
Thank
I know
you.
Lula and Francine, it's probably almost bedtime for you. And
Oh, yes.
'cause they're over.
For me, it is.
Thank you so much. We love you guys. We're here for you.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Goodbye, everybody.